Hello, everyone. We've got about a minute before we go live, and I want to just say hello, let people get into the room. I see some coming in right now. Hello. Uh, Actually, it is 1 o'clock. We can start talking. First of all, my dog is going to want to say hi because she always does. I poured my cup of coffee. It's about 20, I think 27 degrees outside right now. Let's take a look. Up 28 degrees. And this is in San Antonio, Texas, which is pretty far south. Y'all know about the snow and all that stuff down in Florida and Texas. We're kind of like the westernmost part of that. It was funny because Houston had a blizzard and we just had a couple inches of snow. We should come say hi to everybody. Yeah, go girl. Yeah. And what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to go over some stuff related to massive passive AI, relative to how that works and making sure that you have some fine detail. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the AI in general as an industry. Uh, as most of you are, I'm sure, are aware of, we now have our new president, and regardless of what your thoughts about him are, things are going to change dramatically. And if you are pro-business, which obviously I probably am, I'm pretty happy about the direction and how things are changing. The key things that's important to me is making the business more easier to do, lowering our costs, allowing us to hire more people. Getting rid of inflation is important. Reducing regulations. President Trump is of the theory that a rising tide lifts all boats, so everyone makes more money. And then when I hear all this hatred about billionaires, it makes me really wonder because um, billionaires compete with each other to hire people, and they invest billions of dollars. And those are the guys that create employment. Uh, so if you hate billionaires, you really hate yourself in a way. It's kind of interesting. I'm not a billionaire. I don't want to be it. It's never been my goal. Um, but I will tell you that pro business is better for everybody. More of a pro growth creates more taxable income, lower tax rates. It's going to pull trillions of dollars of investment into the country that's going to result in some amazing things. So I wanted to go over what the president did yesterday. And I don't agree with everything that any president does. But one thing I really agree with President Trump about is the AI infrastructure uh, move that they just announced. And it's really quite amazing and huge. It used to be when I was a kid, the only way you can get things done that was momentous and amazing, like landing a person on the moon and bringing them back, was if the federal government did it because they were the only ones that were big enough and smart enough and organized enough and capable enough to achieve that. I'll give them credit. They did back in the 60s, early 70s, I guess. Um, and I always thought, well, if we're going to have a space program, it's going to have to be done by the government. There's billions of dollars involved. Uh, Now you don't need government. Matter of fact, government makes it slower, more costly, less effective, and way less entrepreneurial. When Elon Musk started his SpaceX program, I'm like, well, how's that going to compete against NASA? It doesn't have to compete against NASA. At least NASA's going along with it. And yeah, he's building these ships and they go up and blow up. Oh, well, try it again, go up and blow up. He's investing his own money to do that. The money for investors, stock investors in this company, which is amazing. And so he's investing billions of dollars at his own risk. And he could have gone broke. And yeah, he's worth $200 billion. So it probably ain't. And if he does, oh, wow. But no, you and I don't take any risk on. But if the Government does that. Well, they're going to increase the amount of regulators, the amount of this. It's very inefficient. So Elon Musk is sending spaceships up, and his Starship is not perfected yet, but it will be, because he sees each failure as an opportunity to learn, reinvest, and improve. Where in politics, a failure of that type, where something explodes, is a political failure. And we got to create a bunch of groups and study it. And, and like when the first shuttle blew up in the mid 80s, it took years for them to get back on the program. And it was because of analysis paralysis, and people were afraid to take risk in government, because that's not what they do. They got to be perfect, because I guess the citizens feel like, well, we're giving all this money, and we are. A third of our incomes, our personal income, goes to them. So we'd think we'd demand things from them. And so no one wants to make decisions, because they don't want to be responsible for creating any political grief that's going to get them out of power. And it just doesn't work, right? Because it's very, very inefficient. Well, Elon Musk proved that private individual, and same thing with the Blue Horizon guy, the owner of Amazon. He came out with his own ships too, and have been successful, although not nearly as much as Musk did, because Musk turned it into a commercial thing by giving us Starlink. So when all these ships are going off, and there's like 100 launches a year, deploying Starlink satellites, they're small satellites that allow us to connect with the internet really anywhere in the world. I mean, there's a lot of places that won't let him connect, but there's thousands of these satellites up there in a geocentric orbit over the areas that will allow internet access. So even if you're in Ukraine during the war and Russia's bombing all this, they can still get their email, I guess, if they have the dishes from Starlink. They're not cheap. In my home, we're looking at it right now and talking. I use Google Fiber. It's fast. It's incredibly fast. It's $70 a month for 2 gig bandwidth, and it's not a limit. It's how fast it is, and I can upload videos, do live streams. We've canceled all of our cable TV. We used to watch DirecTV. We canceled that. We're now, we watch YouTube TV. Cheaper, better, a whole lot better, actually. And because of Google Fiber, we get this amazing quality video. So things are changing, and things are going to continue to change. And this is, mostly private investment that's driving innovation, not public. It's not governmental money. It's not governmental oversight. But the government can do a lot to help private enterprise by just getting the hell out of the way, and maybe provide some oversight for sure, but not to overregulate or demand to be part of it. So why do Russian businesses fail in productivity relative to the U.S.? It's got nothing to do with the business. It's got everything to do with the state involvement. And China is pretty great at what they do, but their money efficiency is way below the United States. So now here comes along some investors, SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, and they're going to put $500 billion in 4 years into infrastructure to build massive AI facilities for a lot of different purposes. I don't think we got the whole story. And everyone's afraid AI is going to take over our life. Well, here's the fact. And this is what I tell all my friends and family. AI is here to stay. It's been around for 30, 40 years, since the first time, because, McDonald's said, do you want to fry with that Coke? Well, that's what AI started out. When you buy something on Amazon, you would have other products you may be interested in buying with that. So when I went to buy my guitar picks, it'd have guitar straps and maybe a tuner or an effects pedal. All that stuff is recommended products. Well, that in essence is what AI does. Is it gives you a logical conclusion based on the data and your buying habits and that stuff. If you do any advertising on Facebook, you realize that you can create what's called a like audience, where Facebook takes a look at someone who buys your product and looks at what they do, the pages they go to, the things they look at, the groups they belong to, and then they see what you buy on an ad, or you engage with an ad per se, and then they begin to say people that are similar or like this guy, maybe they're middle-aged, balding guys that play guitar, are more likely to buy this. And so they put those ads, this in front of those guys that are like the guy who placed an order. And that is AI. Google, you search for something. Google search is an AI. The algorithm sorts out the results based on giving you what you probably are looking for higher up in the search results. And that is just an intelligent process. So AI has been around a lot longer than you realize. When I was a little kid growing up in Ohio, I'll never forget, and it was probably 1974, I clicked, I was in my dad's office, and in that office, I was doing some stuff, and he pulled that little box up and he was all excited. And we always had an adding machine, which was mechanical, but this was a calculator. And it was like the very first calculator ever. I think he spent like $400 on it or something like that. He showed me how it worked at 1 + 1 = 2 sort of thing. And I was amazed. That's a calculator. What can you do with that? By the time I got through high school, we were doing trigonometry and stuff on our calculators in high school. And, I had a scientific calculator throughout my college, a good degree in applied sciences. So, I got through all the physics and everything because I had a calculator that did it all. But again, that is basically just big data management, which we call AI now. So AI is truly nothing new. It's just been categorized and called it and been made more engageable. Now you can talk to your AI agent on a website. We've shown you VAPI and other things, and we're going to deploy some of those on some of our websites. But I want to talk about what the president did with SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle yesterday. Is he created a environment where it is safe for corporations who are going to make a ton of money to invest $500 billion, $500 billion, $500 billion into our economy and build these massive AI facilities. And what they're saying is they're going to use it to help be able to treat medical diseases using mRNA vaccines. So essentially, they can take a drop of your blood and they can analyze the blood using AI. They can compare it to everyone else that ever existed who had blood taking. This guy has your blood conditions and actually got cancer at age 63, and it was prostate cancer. So they can create a mRNA. mRNA is a RNA, ribonucleic acid type of vaccine, which is what they did for COVID, and inject it into you. And based on that, it will be what a vaccine does. It will prevent the cancer from ever happening. That's what they're saying anyway. There's a lot more to it than that, I guarantee you. The medical industry was taken over in the States by the federal government back in 2010 when Obama created Obamacare. under the disguise of saying it was to provide medical insurance for all, what it did is cause the cost of medical insurance to skyrocket for everybody. I used to be able to get great uh, health insurance back in the 2000s and earlier for a couple $100 a month. And in 2002, I popped an appendix bill on a ski race at Squaw Valley. Going down the hill, I just kind of collapsed at the end, and they had to fly me down to Sacramento for the type of surgery I needed. And they did the surgery, fixed me up, sent me home, and it cost me $7. I don't know how much it cost the insurance company, but that's how good insurance used to be. Now that would be at least $7,000 or $8,000 because of copays. So, the infrastructure is in there for the government to kind of control what goes on medically because of Obamacare. And I'm not saying that's why he created it, but it is. Um, Everything that you think is for good is usually been manipulated for something that's going to benefit people personally. So it's like I always said, you want to vote for the guy who has the same personal interests you do. My personal interest is business. So here, this positive business environment is creating a culture where we're going to bring in $500 billion worth of capital between now and 2029, and they're going to build huge facilities to store data, and they're going to accumulate all the data from everywhere in the world, I guess, and they'll be able to create models from that data. They'll be able to say, if you have these blood tracers and conditions, you're going to likely have these health problems, so we can provide custom engineered solutions to that within 48 hours. That sounds great. I'm all for it. But the whole idea of that investment, it's going to create 100,000 jobs. And I live in Texas, and that's where they're building it all, is in Texas. Why wouldn't they build it in Texas? We have a very pro-government, pro-business government here. Bring your jobs to Texas, bring your people here. All the best people in Silicon Valley are moving into Austin area. I think they're going to build these plants up near Dallas in that area. San Antonio happens to be one of the technology places for SMTP and cloud hosting, which is why I'm located down there. So there's all this money going into infrastructure and building this really high-end business environment. But when you lift up the hood, you realize this money is going into AI. It's going to stimulate AI research, and the whole thing is going to get bigger and bigger and more invasive into your life. It's not going to go away. It's only going to get bigger. Okay. And I'm thankful that our government has decided to take the lead on this because, quite frankly, China was going to do it. And the world is better off if we control it than if China controls it, because of the natures of the governments and the types of freedoms our government permits. We're more free now than we've been before. We are free to dream. We're free to say whatever the hell we want. We're free to choose who we want to be with, what we want to be, and free to tell the government to go screw themselves if we want. But we're not free. We have to pay the taxes for sure. And I'd rather used to see my taxes be used more effectively than it has been the last forever. And I find it very interesting that the AI mindset, or this intellectual capital concentrated here in the States, because what will happen is all this money is going to attract the best and brightest minds in the world here to work. Well, that's why they're talking about H-1B visas, to attract those smart people from everywhere in the world here to work on these big technology projects and create a better life for themselves in the process. But there's a lot of people saying, why don't we just allow American workers to do all this highly intellectual stuff. And I say we can, will, and should, but it's a free country. And we need to be free to bring in the best and brightest from anywhere in the world. And if you want to have the minds that they have in other parts of the world, then you need to get out of the way of our education system, because our education system is extremely liberal and highly managed by those who are only out to protect themselves. They're not looking for the advancement of society. I mean, when I went to college in the 80s, I went to college to get my degrees. I got the 3 degrees, and between 80 and 85. I went to the University of Davis, which is one of the highest top schools in the country. Very hard to get into. I worked hard. And when I graduated in 1985, I owed $0. And I paid for that by programming computers and working on like cleaning tables and as a waiter, stuff like that. In between programming computers and studying, I was able to. My daughter got her degree, her master's in special education. She just graduated, got her teacher's job. She is now an official teacher here in Texas. She gets paid well, but she came out of college with $100,000 in debt. She asked me to pay it off. I said, no, I'm not paying it off, because this is your choice, your decision. My dog just started barking. I apologize for that. Anyway, he's going to keep barking, isn't he? She has to take care of herself. So if you want to have all these jobs, technology jobs here in the States, create an environment where our students, our young people have a chance to compete by giving them a first-class education. And so our whole education system is really what needs to be looked at. And we need to start understanding what the future is. Now, young people nowadays do not have to learn cursive writing. And I kind of understand that, because you can read mine if you want. I don't think anyone could read my writing. My wife looks at it and goes, what's that mean? And I read it to her. She says, it's like your own language. And she's really right. But I type on my computer all day long. And that's what kids do. They use voice to text. And I could pull up ChatGPT on my phone and talk to it, or my iPad, or my MacBook Pro, and solve things together vocally. So I don't need to type to do that, do I? So handwriting is kind of a skill of the past, but reading is still important. But, the computer will read things out loud for you. As a matter of fact, I consume a fair amount of books, but they're all audiobooks now, because it's just easier on my middle-aged eyes not to read. So I focus on that. So for young people, they need to really be introduced at a young age, AI concepts. Explain to them how it works, where it's used. They need to learn coding and stuff like that, and tools. They need to be good at critical thinking and problem solving. Now, when you get into programming, everyone gets all into the codes and this. It's very syntactically important that you get things perfect. Not anymore. You can take your code, toss it into ChatGPT, and it will debug your code for you. There's better tools than that out there now. So you can program, the coding is pretty simple to do. What's really not simple to do which fortunately for me is my strong suit, is to critically think and come up with the problem-solving aspect. So we need to teach our kids critical thinking and problem-solving more than cursive. They need to be able to do deductive reasoning. They need to be able to learn how to put part A and part Z together to come up with the alphabet. More than memorizing the alphabet, they need to understand how to create it themselves. So they need to think deductively. And they need to become creative. Problem solving is kind of like an art, right? What I mean by that is, it's like someone goes, Bill, how did you build all your software? And I go, well, I would go out and try to do something. I'd have a problem and I'd get frustrated, and I would design the program in my head and I'd flowchart it. I'd give it to my programmers. They'd create it. Everything would be wrong. I'd, work on it. It's like this. There's constant changes and fixes that need to be done to get it to the point that it actually does what I intended to do in the first place. So you got to be creative. You have to be problem solving. And you have to begin with the end result in your mind. And for me, it's simple because I run into a problem and then I come up with systems and software to eliminate the need for people. I hate to say that, but fewer people that takes to solve a problem, the better. And then I take it to the people that code things. And then we debug. It used to be like debugging was forever because you'd have to go through this process of hiring beta testers or getting beta testers, taking their feedback, and then evaluating their feedback. So you're always going to get a lot of subjective comments, and then determining what to do and change. Now, a lot of that can be the mechanical side can be eliminated. There's fewer coding errors and problems with the software because of the use of AI. So it becomes more of the critical thinking aspect of going, okay, how are we going to get this input, and then how do we simmer it? How do we amalgamate that into something we can enact into our software code? And that takes a human still to do. Another thing we need to teach our kids is emotional intelligence. They need to have a high degree of empathy to be able to work in teamwork and have good interpersonal skills, which are going to become even more valuable in an AI world. Okay. Why? Well, there still has to be something real there, right? And we still have to work together. And to try to do anything other than work together is just not going to be realistic. So you need to consider also teaching your kids a lifelong learning habit, which is one of the benefits I got out of my education. Because here I am, 63 years old, and I'm learning more right now because of AI, because I know how to use it as a tool. I could simply hop in and start asking questions, and I'm going to get the response based on the sensibilities of the guys who created the AI I'm using. Yeah, it's still, can provide you skewed information because it was written by a human. If you get in there and have a political discussion with AI, you're going to get some pretty liberal viewpoints. And that's okay. Those are all valid too, right? So the areas that are most important for your kids to learn would be science, technology, energy, and math, or STEM. They need to really focus hard on science and technology and engineering and mathematics. And AI can help them get there. And then with the emphasis on ethical understanding, we need to teach our kids to live in this AI world that is going to be developed. It's happening right now. You cannot stop it. It's not going to go away. If anything, it's going to speed up and go faster and faster and faster. they need to understand the basis behind AI ethics. This is an area where some people are saying the government needs to regulate. Probably do. The problem is ethics and government don't necessarily go hand in hand, do they? Matter of fact, some of the most unethical people I know are in government on both sides of the equation. Okay. I wouldn't, schools are concerned about kids using AI to do their homework. And my daughter's a school teacher, so I've had this discussion. She teaches younger kids, so it's not much of an issue yet. The fact is, they need to, when I was a kid growing up, we had this thing called a library. Remember those things are kind of out of date nowadays, aren't they? And we had to learn the Dewey Decimal System. And we had to go out and actually go to the folders, or they had rows of racks, and you have to do research through the Dewey Decimal System to find the books, to find the text that you have to read in order to learn something. Deductive reasoning was done outside of the time you spent doing research. One of my papers in college was on the knobby tubers. Okay. Sounds exciting, huh? Well, I have a science degree and I studied ag science. At that time, they were having problems with potatoes. The bigger a potato is, the more well-shaped it is, the better it makes French fries from McDonald's. And they were funding this research at the University of Davis, and I was taking a course from the professor that was doing the research because they wanted potatoes that were big and didn't have knobs in them for two reasons. The knobby tubers make fewer French fries, and they didn't taste as well. They were bitter. And it was understood at that point that there was a virus that was causing these knobs, but they didn't understand why. Well, my professor was doing the research on this, and as one of his students, I was an assistant, and we discovered a thrip. That tiny bug was a vector. So the thrip would land on a potato that has this virus, eat some of the potato, fly to a different potato, eat that one, and it would spread. Okay, so now we have a thrip, which is a bug. Go out and spray it with pesticides. But we were, I went to Davis. We always looked at non-chemical ways of trying to eliminate pests. So we found there was a little bug called a beetle. And that beetle would eat the thrips. So we helped the pesticide industry determine that there was a biological way to take care of the thrips that were causing the knobby tubers. So when you go to McDonald's, you get a French fry that's that long and it doesn't taste bitter, it's because of me. No, it was part of what we studied in college. And we did all that research by looking at various studies that were done by other people. People were in epidemiology, there are endocrinology, or whatever it's called, bug science noticed the thrips, and someone else noticed the bugs eating thrips, and then we just put the whole package together by taking little pieces of information and then taking it out to the potato field and testing it, and it worked. And that's what I wrote my junior paper on for my bug class in college. Now you can do all that kind of research behind your desk without having to go to a library, without having to read all these scientific papers, and coming to conclusions. And you can test your conclusions virtually by using AI. So we don't eliminate our curiosity, our striving for finding solutions from the equation. What we do is we add AI in to help us facilitate those answers without having to take, I don't know. It took a semester, 6 months of research. And I don't know how long the the professor was working on this research. Um, and I don't know how much time it took for all the other people that were researching different components that we put together to come to our conclusions. So it took, many years to say the best way to make a big French fry was put ladybugs in a potato field. Could you do that with AI? Yeah, you actually can, because it has all that knowledge. So we weren't creating knowledge in that process. And AI is not creating knowledge. It's putting knowledge together. The deductive reasoning that we did in college to figure out that this thrip was causing potatoes to have knobs in them, and that little ladybug will eat that thrip, and there's no reason to poison the food. Well, here's a solution to the problem. AI could take that from several years to a very short period of time. And so what they're trying to do with this new, they call it Stargate, big name, is you're trying to say, okay, we have all the data. Like I go back to the 80s, when all we did was take the data and put it together to come to the conclusion that we needed to have ladybugs eat the thrips. We have all the data now for how to treat cancer, and what we just need is a way of taking that data, absorbing it, and microtizing it to the individual. We know all the people who had these various forms of cancer. We got all their blood work. And just like Facebook can say, you're like this guy, so you're likely to buy this product. This system is going to go, oh, you're like this person's blood type who developed colon cancer. So we can prevent that by providing this custom designed vaccine based on your specific RNA needs. So we've now taken that whole process and we microtized it down to a few, they're claiming 48 hours. And all this will be between now and 2029. Can you imagine the amount of money that's worth? Multiples of trillions of dollars. And all the investments not coming from federal governments, it's private. And it's profit-based. But when you're running a profit-based business, you've got competition. The federal government doesn't have a lot of competition until the SpaceX came along. And when you look at, let's just going to AI first, to the electric car industry for a minute, just to describe it. So the federal government tells everybody, you got to make AI cars, and everybody's got to buy them. And we're going to give them money to buy them. And you have to do this by then. It was a complete and total failure. First of all, we gave them billions of dollars to build charging stations. They built like 3 because of all the red tape in the way of actually be able to build the station. And it's our own red tape, right? So, that makes like 0 sense at all. And companies that are all geared up for gas vehicles suddenly have to redesign and engineer their plants. That takes a lot of money. And you know what? There's this little company called Tesla who started as an electric company, and they engineered electric vehicles. Oh, and they started in California, and they had the best and brightest in California. And they came out with the first really good electric car. And all the billions of dollars that the federal government poured into electric cars, it really wasn't helping Tesla. But Tesla ended up winning the market by a massive amount because he was competing against gas cars. And he created a whole industry without edict or mandate or any buyer, where you can go get $7,500 federal credit to go buy a Ford electric vehicle. you couldn't use that same credit on a Tesla. You talk about shitty. I mean, I have my problem with electric vehicles because their environmental impact is just as big as, if not bigger than gas. Um, but electric cars have a place, and I think people should be able to buy them. Let the free market determine that. AI can help speed that whole process up, and it will speed that whole process up. Okay. I know I got a bunch of people here that are massive passive profit customers. And so I want to spend just a couple minutes based on some of the questions we had last week that I never really got around to because I forgot to check for questions while I was doing the session. I got a guy who left a question in one of our groups that said, well, I've set everything up and it looks like it's working, but it's not posting every day. I'm like, well, should be. Did you actually install the cron job? What's that? I go, well, it's like in the instructions, like number 4. So I wanted to talk to you about what a cron job is and show you real quickly how it works. When there are things that are based on time, it's chronological time. The computer uses what's called a cron job. And the computer doesn't actually do it. It's your web host that does it. Okay. And every web host has their own way for handling cron jobs. And so does WordPress. It has its own way of firing what's called a WP cron. So I'm going to show you something right now. I'm going to go to the page. Okay. Oops, wrong spot. So you have 7 days a week here, and you have these keywords to create content. You can see this one's going to create today. It's simple. How did it know to do that? Well, there's this cron job right here. And there's 2 ways to set it up. Either you can set it up with your host here, or you can take this right here and do what's called an external cron. And it's actually the external cron that I recommend people use. And I'll explain to you why. I'm going to share with you this website that's free to use called cron-jobs.org. Okay. And you can see this particular account's got a bunch of cron jobs firing right now. And what the cron jobs do is it takes that link that we have and it runs it. So you come to here, to this link here, you can just copy it, come over here, you create a cron job, give it a title, you paste it, and you tell it to fire every 60 minutes, and you create the link. This website will then fire the cron job every 60 minutes. Now, it's only going to be effective 1 time a day, but there's going to be times during the day when it's going to run a cron job, and the site will be busy, or the host will have an issue, or it's going to fail. So we run it, every hour. You're bound to get one that will work. So here you can see this one's already scheduled to post at 1700, which is 5 o'clock Texas time, right? So it's going to fire this at 1700, right? It's going to create a post about using velocity impact AI. Cool, huh? And it's how to use the marketing proposals. Tomorrow it's going to talk about how to use a logo maker. And this is going to create all this content that is posting in our blog. That cron job, nothing happens if you don't have it set up right. It's not going to post. Now, if you don't put the cron job on there, it might post once in a while because it's using what they call WP cron. Now, what is WP cron? What that does is it runs any cron jobs that are set up in the system if somebody visits your site. So when the site gets busy, you don't even need to have any external cron set up. It's just going to fire because people are visiting the site. So because I'm here today, it's going to fire a cron job. And it doesn't matter if I fire it once or 50 times a day. It's only going to take them 1 time. So it's fired a cron job just by me visiting a site. But when you got a brand new site, you shouldn't have to go visit it. It should just be posting content. And that's what we use uh, WP Cron for. It's a necessary step in my mind. You can, and I'm going to go, um, I'm sorry. Okay. You can uh, go into here and do it manually. Okay. You can come into your settings and then fire the cron job every day. Or you can take this and add it into your cron job setting for your host. Every host is different, so don't ask me how to do it. That's the cron. Go into your host, your web host manager or cPanel and set it up. You may need the help of your hosting platform. I recommend McRea Soft Cloud. The cloud hosting doesn't allow these cron jobs, so what we do is we use external cron, and it works beautifully. Okay, it's easier to do. You don't have to mess around. You just go out to cron-job and boom, you're done. So why does cron job do that for free? I have no idea. But just by setting that cron job up, you'll have content every day. And that content every day gives you everything you need to do to fire up and run all of your content. This website here is all about velocity impact. Okay, so one of the cool things is the AI domain name. It's built right into velocity impact. If you click on the AI link, it's going to take you to where? Boom, 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 boom. Velocity impact. So the blog does exactly what I want it to do. Is it creates content and it provides hyperlinks and a banner. So does this work? Okay. Yeah, it does quite well. So now set the cron jobs up and you'll get daily content. And just to show you how to get daily content, you can see all the content related to it down here. There are dozens. I don't know how many posts there are. This was my original proving site. And let's see, there's 685 posts at this website. I've written 0. This is a great website. I get lots of traffic. I'm going to put AdSense on it very soon. The domain is just over a year old. Usually has to age about a year. But if you go to SolAd Masterclass or McRea or 24-Hour Guitar, some of my other websites, they're all massive passive websites. They're all generating traffic. They're all getting clicks from AdSense. And I was talking to a friend today, and he goes, well, since you don't have any money, what are you going to do to make money? And I said, well, we're both doing fine. Okay. I said, I'm thinking about going and working the streets, like a hooker. And he comes back and says, well, that ain't going to work. I said, no, I own a number of homes that I have rental income from, and I have my AdSense websites. So I have a nice little passive income. It's nothing huge, but it's enough to live on. It's not to be retired on. So I don't really need to do anything else. I have my solo ad business, which is wonderful. I love it. And I'm going to keep it going. It's well managed by my partner. So I don't have to do a whole lot. So why would I quit doing anything there? I just bring home money. But all those websites that are bringing AdSense again, we convert it over to these. And they do fine. But every one of these posts, I've turned into content that I use on social media. You will find it on Facebook. Okay. Guarantee it. If you're a Facebook friend, you're seeing this content. You will find it on my Twitter account. I'm going to switch over to there. I'm going to go to my account. That's us right now. You can see a video I created. This video is created by Velocity Impact. It is actually a blog post that is converted into a video. And here's an actual blog post that's syndicated here by using Metricool. If we click on that link and show that tab, AI Social Poster, one of my products. We look through it. Yeah. This will become a video too. And I will share the image on Instagram and Pinterest. And I don't have to do a whole lot of work to do any of that, to be honest with you, because I use Metricool and AI Social Poster. They handle all this stuff for me. So whenever I have to do any work, I find a way to get out of the work by employing AI as much as I possibly can. Some say I'm lazy. I say, yeah, I'm lazy. I'm okay with that. I don't mind being lazy. I create tools so that I can be more efficient with my work. And that's all AI does. So a year ago, you guys have been with me long enough to know that I started this social media marketing back in September. And you've seen how it grew up to a couple thousand clicks a month going to my money-making websites. And because of my AI lead system, those guys are ending up in my Aweber and GetResponse accounts. And it's creating a passive income just on selling my products and affiliate products. And it's hands-free, right? I don't have to do a damn thing. I let it run. I absolutely love creating systems that require no effort. Doing this weekly live training takes a little bit of effort, but not a lot. I let everything run itself. It's just like I was talking about my real estate holdings. I don't run them. I hire a property manager who runs them for me, and they get 10%. I'm like, cool. I don't want headaches. You take care of it. They take care of everything. The only thing I got to do is put money out of my pocket to pay for repairs and stuff like that. But it's a nice passive income. These content websites that creates a nice passive income. Not any one website's making me $1 billion a year, but if you're getting 50, 60 bucks every day in your ClickBank account from a few of the sites, and you're making 50, 60 bucks every day from 10 of your sites on AdSense clicks, it's not very hard to build a couple $100,000 a year passive income. And if you have the AI system collecting leads and you're just promoting stuff to them through the autoresponder, the way I've trained people to do it, and I'm going to train you how to use GetResponse. I like it a little better than Aweber, and I have, because these leads coming in, I can put them anywhere I want. I put them in GetResponse and Aweber, and I run different sequences to them. I have the right to do that because they visited my website. That's how I collected the leads. Go visit my website. You'll get an email from me. And once you opt out, we blacklist you, and you never get bothered again. But I have the right to do that. So it's a very powerful tool. What AI gives us, all this content, the ability to repurpose the content into actionable stuff that we can take and use on social media. And does that social media stuff work that I'm doing? Well, you tell me. Getting a couple thousand clicks to my money sites, and that will increase dramatically. Although I'm a little concerned about TikTok because that's a big source of traffic. I didn't get into that. I think TikTok is going to be here to stay. And what the president's doing is okay. And I don't want the Chinese doing anything, but I honestly think it will end up in American control or U.S. control of some sort. And somebody said, so why do the Chinese care about our teenagers? No, man, I'm telling you what, they can propagandize that we should not, there should be no government control over anything, any government. I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out. But if TikTok is gone, there's going to be something else that's going to replace it. Matter of fact, getting some good, traffic out of Instagram, out of X, with the videos posting there, out of Pinterest. I'm really falling in love with Pinterest lately, because with Pinterest you can not only post an image or a video, but a direct link to your money site in each post. How powerful is that? I'm gonna share more Pinterest stuff with you guys, because you could be selling affiliate products and just posting images on Pinterest. I think I did a little bit of that last week, but I'm telling you, hey, you know what? If you get like a weight loss drug that's pays out about $135 on average, because people buy into some of these medications that are available on ClickBank, and they pay you for the accrual or the recurring, and you can end up making thousands of dollars commissions off a sale if the product's any good. And you can advertise that easily by using velocity impacts, a hyper realistic image creator, and a Pinterest account, posting to it using AI social poster. Boom, money. It works. I'm doing some testing on that and actually going to prove it out to you guys. But I can tell you right now, social media traffic is great. Solo ad traffic is great. Any traffic is good. The problem isn't the traffic. The problem is people's ability to monetize the traffic they have, okay? You may have cheap CPV traffic. Can you monetize that? Can you make money from that? Most people say, no, they didn't join my list. No, they didn't buy my product. But the real people coming to your site, they're on your site. What can you do with that? Well, you can capture a lead, promote them an email. You could put a cookie on their computer, so if they go to Amazon and buy something, make some money off of that. There's other things you can do that's kind of dastardly, but there's a way to monetize every source of traffic. And we'll share a little bit more of that as we go forward with these sessions. So next week, we'll probably do a little bit more with velocity impact. But the tools are all there for you. I've discussed them all. It's a matter of just saying, okay, I'm going to do this stuff. The one thing that AI can't do for you is actually taking action. My good friend Mike Felsame, who I used to go on an annual cruise with, I quit going on cruises. The marketing cruise, I guess 2013 was the last time I went, just because I was busy. And him and Frank Kern said that the problem most people have is taking action all the way to conclusion. So somebody will get excited and start building a website, and then they'll quit because it's hard. Or they'll start this, or they'll start that, or they're going to chase all these shiny objects. And nobody will buy something, stick to it, and figure out how to make money with what they got. And if they're chasing all the shiny things that instant do this and instant guarantee that and all that, they're gonna fail. And it's why 99% of people fail in this industry. Those people know how to take action, consistent, all the way to the end, and being able to make some good money doing it. So we've shared with you everything you need to know. We have all the tools available for you. It's up to you whether you want to take and run with it or not. We can't do that for you. Next week, we'll probably dive into a little bit more of the velocity impact stuff. Everybody have a great week, and we'll talk to you then.